So for today's talking about Kazuya and why this character isn't played nearly as much as I feel like people would expect him to be played, as much as I would think he should be played based on how good he is. So for reference, I've been calling this character top tier and probably top 10 for a long time. I'm starting to think he might be the second best character in the game, if not potentially the best long term. But that's not even because he's necessarily the second best most solo viable character or as the second best matchup chart. That is because as a character, like as a counterpick character, you just win in the character select screen more than like any other character in the game. I will say this, I feel like 3/4 of matchups versus Kazuya, the opponent just auto loses there. And then the other fourth of the matchups where Kazuya arguably loses, goes even, whatever. Like the matchups he loses in, he loses hard, of course. So really, like, unless there's a big difference in player skill, I feel like you can basically know the result before even starting the game with Kazuya, which is insanely, ridiculously busted. In fact, I can't think of the last time where I felt this way about a character in Smash. Because even when I think about characters like Brawl, Meta Knight, Ice Climbers, the thing about those games is most characters are bad. So there are very few characters people played in the first place. And of course, the game released with those characters in that state. So, like, people still playing the game competitively or pretty much playing characters that can compete with the best of the best. Even if a character like Meta Knight, Ice Climbers invalidated most of the cast, you weren't seeing them. Whereas and then Smash 4 is kind of similar, right? Like, most people weren't playing like the mid-tier stuff, like Roy or Lucas or Falco. They were playing like one of like the 10 or 12 like viable characters at this point in Smash 4's lifespan, even earlier on, just because the character imbalance in those games were so like noticeable between the good characters and the not good characters that if you were playing seriously, you were probably playing a good character just so you didn't feel like shit playing the game all the time. Whereas in Ultimate, this game is meant to have a really balanced roster. So many characters can make deep runs and can be viable. So that's where a character like Kazuya really is strong in this game. Whereas invalidating those characters, invalidating most of the roster when most of the roster is played, is massive in brackets. Massive as a character. It's a great way to just avoid having to deal with like bullshit matchups where you don't know what the hell is going on. You're losing because I just electric people. That's a big deal with this character, right? Huge deal. The amount of people play him, right? Because he's just that good. With that said, I think inversely, the characters that give him trouble, characters like Min Min, Samus, random ass zoners. I'm sure there's like something like a villager can actually be really obnoxious for this character. You know what I mean? Steve is. I actually think Kazuya is well versed, but that's crazy take that I don't expect to be proven right about for like at least a year. But trust me, I think Kazuya does very well versus Steve, surprisingly. Because he can like electric minecart, one-shot blocks, whatever. But anyway, back to my point before. So, with that said, this character, it's weird because like it's almost unsatisfying. I don't want to say this. It's very demoralizing to play this character into a bad matchup. Because I think they can be overcome. I've seen like Riddles overcome like stuff like Samus before. And I feel like things like Min Min is actually low-key very doable. Just requires really good execution on when you hit the opponent. It still feels really demoralizing. It feels like you're fighting against this just crazy, like how much this character is not built to fight these zoners. So when you fight that stuff, and there's a lot of those characters people just randomly playing, especially when like you can just pick up Min Min and just kind of beat most Kazuya players, to be honest, because they don't know what's going on. Like, that stinks as a Kazuya player. So I think that's one frustrating factor about the character. Next up with this character, I think that this character is so execution heavy, and most people just don't want to put that time into it. Especially when even at the top level, even watching the best Steves of Akola and Riddles playing the character, not Akola, oh yeah, like T, Riddles playing the character, you see them drop Kazuya stuff all the time. Like, I can't do this stuff, right? I haven't practiced it. I don't care if it's not my type of character at all. But, like, I'll see, like, Riddles legitimately, like, just drop the electric input all the time. Or drop, like, the electric into, like, the rising fast fall in the air into more electrics. Or mess up, like, the platform tech. You kind of, like, do, like, the double jump air dodge, crouch punch, catch every tag option. I see, because there's so many places to mess up with this character. And this character, probably more than any other character in the game, is one of those characters where, like, you have to take advantage of your openings. Like, you will sometimes only get 3 openings in the entire game when you're playing, like, a Sonic. to hit them. So you have to. You have to make every opening count. You cannot afford to mess up with this character, because this character will lose over time just by being walled out from hitboxes, and that, you know, Show gets whittled down. He's forced to make approaches. He gets hit for approaching. He's put off Sage. He gets edge guard, juggle, whatever, and dies. Because this Spanish State, even though it's not as bad as people make it out to be, it's still very exploitable. He can live to 150 or die at 80. Right? So you're put on this timer as this character, which I think makes people feel very uncomfortable. That you have to make things happen. You can't, like, drop these things and then you're fighting all this bullshit at the same time. So that's a big deal with the character. I think that's probably that is definitely the biggest factor. Is that, and the amount of time taken to even learn this stuff. Where one of the fun things about Smash is just, I want to play this character. Let me just go play random ass character, do some basic stuff, have a good time. Kazuya doesn't have that. When you try, granted, I feel like every FGC character is like that, but I think Kazuya is the most like this out of all of them. Where you want to just randomly like do things, have fun with them. Nope. Like even just doing his normal buttons, like if you're just playing him like a normal character, tilts, yeah, tilts, smash attacks, like it's not gonna work. You just can't. So that's really like annoying. That's also makes a lot of people when they first play him, like me, go, yeah, no, I'm good on this. I'm not even consider it. Like, you need to be invested, even consider playing this character, right? So you're eliminating most of the player base. Period. Next up, and this is actually very similar to Steve, where this character doesn't play Smash really. Like, and I basically said this already, right? But when you think about Smash, I said this in the Steve video, you think about the game with like lots of movement, or a game where you have like lots of hitboxes and stuff to control the stage, or you have crazy combos. Granted, this character has combos, right? But like his movement's so weird. It can be fast if you're doing the dash attack. Actually, I feel like his dash is like low key. Like this is insanely fast when you get it down. But like he has a slow jump squat. He's very slow in the air. His double jump feels very weird. And so you don't get that Smash feel when you play him. You don't get like, I play Smash for this. You know what I mean? He's playing his own game. And once again, that deters a lot of people from playing the character. So, and I think the final reason, maybe the final reasons, but one of, if not the last reasons people play this character is that he had a pretty poor impression on release. Granted, so did Steve. But with this character especially, I think people have just started warming up to the idea now that he's really good for the most part. Even then, there's a lot of people that think he's still overrated. So there's kind of the mentality of, why would I pick up Kazuya if he's not top tier at this point in the game? Or why would I pick up Kazuya if he struggles with all these common matchups? I think low-key, a lot of the matchups he's supposed to struggle with, he will get better at versus over time. You get better at perfect shielding stuff. Like fighting a zoner, you learn how to perfect shield this stuff, knowing the burst in with the openings. I don't think it's that bad for Kazuya. But like that initial impression of all these difficult matchups on all these weaknesses basically made people not want to consider him when he came out, compared to a character like Aegis, where it's, oh, this character loses and they're broken, everyone's gonna play him. Or even Joker, right? Same thing. At least most good players think he gets broken off the bat. But yeah, so initial poor reception and the fact that it's so much of a time investment to get good with him really like limits your ability to play him. Granted, I think because he's such a polarizing character in terms of his strong matchups, if you want to pick him up, you can pick him up for like his easy winning matchups. And it's like, cool, I'll just get dubs now. But I just don't think there's like, how do I put it? People just aren't doing that. They could, they should, but people just want to play Smash for the characters they enjoy. And all these attributes lead to an unenjoyable character, even if he is broken. But I've seen the best Kazuya players get mad playing this character. Like, you can tell they're not having a good time, but then they hit someone once with a combo, like, oh, I killed you at 720 with a hit, lol, this is a fun time. And then next game they're getting mad, even as they kill people at 20, right? It looks like it's an extremely unfun experience to play as this character. And I think all these things combined, when you look at the mains of the characters getting frustrated with him, even though they know he's really good, it's like, why would you play this? Video games, end of the day, supposed to be fun. When it looks like someone's having fun, you don't want to do that. You want to be like, damn, this character looks so fun. Let me play as him too. Like, no, that's not how it works. So, of course, my opinions. I'm sure there's people disagreeing with me in the comments below. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Maybe my takes are completely wrong, but I'm curious. So that said, y'all, catch you for the next one of these. Like always, goodbye.